Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Today I'll be showing how to make a stylish text outline. You might be asking, what does that have to do with text effects? Well, it is a quite useful tool to have when making text animations. Aside from highlighting text of interest, outline serves an important role when combined with animation. When background color is changing dynamically, text with only fill can blend into background and become unreadable. Simple action of adding an outline can prevent that from happening. We will be making an outline node group that is simple to use and scalable. I recommend adding it to your asset so you can use it at your convenience. Alright, let's get into it. Alright, as soon as we get into Blender, we'll hop right into Geometry Nodes Layout. A to select all, X to delete. Shift A, add mesh plane. Using numpad 7 and 5, go into top orthographic view, click on New, delete group input, and replace it with string input. Enter test, pass it through a strings to curve, then output. Alright, we now have the base text curve. Let me expand the window a bit. We'll start off by making the fill portion. Insert a fill curve. It doesn't matter which fill type you use. Next, let's add a set material so we can apply a material. Split open a new window and select shader editor so we can start working on material. Click on new to create a node map, then rename to mbody. Delete principled BSDF, replace it with RGB and set it to white, then directly output. Go back to GeoNode and select mbody we made for the material. Switch to render view in the 3D viewport to view it. The color is a bit dull, so go to render tab on the right. Under color management, let's change view transform to standard. Now the color is much brighter. Let's get started on working on the outline. From strings to curve, branch out a curve to mesh. Connect a curve line to profile curve. We'll set -0.5 for start x, 0.5 for end x, and 0 for the rest. Add a set curve radius so we can control the line width. We'll use 0.02 meters for now. Next, add a set material so we can assign different material from fill. We're yet to assign a material, but let's just join it with fill and output. It's quite hard to see, but there should be a hint of an outline. Let's now work on the outline material. Click on this number to duplicate the mbody, then rename it to moutline. We'll just set this to black for now. Back in GeoNode, select moutline for this set material. Now we have an outline surrounding the fill. Currently, Render Engine is having difficulty deciding which to render on top, since outline is overlapping the fill. So let's add a transform geometry and enter 0.1 for Z translation. Now outline is rendered on top of the fill. Word of caution, this causes outline to hover above in Z direction. If you choose to use orthographic camera for final render, this is not an issue. But with perspective camera, this is going to be a problem. So in that case, make sure to use a small enough amount so outline appears to be in the same plane as the fill. If not 0, you can choose an extremely small amount, since the purpose is to assign a render order. We now have an outline going on, but it's not really that clean. Some parts have uneven line width, and these corners have weird folds. Let's clean them up and make it presentable. First, add a set spline type and convert spline to NURBS. We can even out the width just by doing so. Next, add a resample before set spline type and resample with length of 0.01 meter. Now the corners are cleanly beveled and rounded. Alright, we've ended up with a clean and presentable outline. However, it's a hassle to always be making this every time we want to use an outline. So, let's go ahead and make an asset out of this so we can use it in different blend files. Let's start by selecting these nodes and Ctrl-G to group them. Exit out with tab and rename. I'll name mine Add Text Outline. Tab back in to start editing the node group. I don't think there's a need for you to follow step by step here, so I'll skip to the finalized node tree for explanation. Alright, here's the final version. A lot have changed, but a word before I start going into details. Utility functions such as these are supposed to be designed based on how the user intends to use it. So, there's no such thing as a correct design. You as viewer can choose to use this design as it is, or modify it to fit your needs. It's totally up to you. I'll be explaining my reasoning, but just think of it as a working example. Alright? Let's take a look from the top. I made significant changes in this input portion and added attributes to pass to shader here. Also, added few nodes for the offset. I've made a couple values into arguments and changed the group input node color so it stands out. Also changed the outline material name to moutline default, and it now directly output attribute color like so. Let's take a closer look from the left. This set spline cyclic node is to ensure that outline covers the whole text even if the incoming spline is not cyclic. I'm using this switch node to choose between the resampled curve and the original curve based on the group input values. I'll explain this later along with how I intend to use it. This portion is to store attributes, that is, or might be used in the shader. UV, length, outline color are the three attributes stored. For UV, spline factor for base and profile curve is captured here. Then combined as XY into vector to be stored. Length of base curve is captured and is passed to attributes. Argument for outline color is directly stored and passed to shader. Lastly, the offset. I added a menu switch so we can choose to render in front or back of the fill, which is multiplied with the Z offset value. I'll explain this portion later as well. Here is a list of arguments. Resample lengths, which is used here and here. Outline width, used here. Front back, this input. The offset, right here. Lastly, outline color. So, here's where I explain my design concept based on the intended usage. I arranged the window layout for ease of explanation. There is no need to follow along for this. First design concept is convenience of using default material and scalability of using custom material. There is a default material integrated in this node group that allows convenient plug-and-play usage. If I choose to add a simple outline with specific color and width, I can achieve that by simply tweaking parameters. This is probably the most common usage of this node group and is designed so that there is no additional work to achieve that goal. Next is making it scalable when using custom material. If I intend to use a more complex material, I can override the default material by simply adding another set material after it. For example, if I want to use an emissive material, I can simply apply it here. In addition, complex custom material design such as this dotted outline is possible since it has UV and length stored as usable attributes. Second design concept stems from the outline width, which determines the look and style. I'm categorizing them as regular and standard, narrow and sharp, bold and pop. It's kind of difficult to put it to exact numbers since it's going to depend on size and font of the text. For regular and standard look, I aim for outlines that covers about 10 to 30% of fill area. In the case of this particular text, outline width of 0.01 meter to 0.03 meter is in that range. In this case, I will elect to use these parameter settings. Nicely beveled outline in front of the fill has a soft impression and does not get in the way of reading the text. If I choose to go for a more narrow and sharp look, there is a slight issue if I just simply decrease the line width. Let's try decreasing the width to 0.005 meters. As you can see, with beveled outline, we have this fill corner protruding out. This switch condition prevents beveling by setting render length to 0, so I can retain the sharp corners. If I want to go for a bold and pop style, I'll run into problems if I have the outline in front. Simply increasing the line width will make the text unreadable. In this case, I can use this menu switch to render outline behind the fill. Fill text in front will ensure readable text, no matter how puffed up the outline becomes. The last design concept is multi-layered outlines. In some cases, I want to use multiple outlines to make text stand out. I can achieve this by adding another add text outline and joining it. By adjusting the Z offset input, I can designate which outline goes in front or back. Then, simply adjust the width and color to achieve the outline look I want. So, there you have it. These are my intended use cases and design reasoning behind this node. If it's in line with how you like to use the text outlines, by all means, use the node design as is. If not, again, by all means, go ahead and change it to your likings. You do you, since I also plan to build on top of this node group if I encounter other use cases. Alright, before I let you go, I'll quickly explain how to turn this into an asset. Right-click on this shield icon and mark as asset. Save this blend file into folder path that is included in Asset Library Path. You can check which path is included by going to Preference, then File Path. You should be able to find it in the search bar from any blend file if it successfully became an asset. In closing, as mentioned before, text outline is a useful tool to have when making text effects. Not only outlines, but there are a lot of text style additions like reflections, 2D shadows, etc., which can easily help you accentuate text animations. I might post videos for these in the future. In any case, hope you enjoyed the video and hope to see you in the next one.